The council tax is deeply unfair and it is unpopular. What do you intend to do to reform it?
Jack McConnell?
Well, there are three changes we're proposing for local government, local services finance in this election campaign. First of all, we propose a minor change to the council tax, where a small number of people at the top will pay a little bit more and people at the bottom will pay a little bit less. We're proposing to double the business rates relief for small businesses, and we're proposing to halve and then abolish the full water and sewerage charge, the charge for which there is no direct benefit for pensioners, benefiting the poorest pensioners the most.
That's absolutely clear. What plans do you have to help hard-pressed council taxpayers in Band B?
Well, in Band A, B, C, D, E, F, G and H, we commit, both nationally and locally as a Labour Party, where Labour is in government nationally and locally, to keep the council tax rises over these next 4 years below the rate of inflation. An achievement
do you have any plans to cut council tax for hard-pressed council taxpayers in Band B?
Well, local councils will be free to cut the council tax if they wish to do so. What we propose to do is ensure
have a cut for some in Band A.
That at a maximum, the council tax increases over the next 4 years would be below the rate of inflation.
You're going to have a cut for some people in Band A, isn't that correct?
We propose to have a small increase for a small number of people in Band H in the most expensive houses.
And a cut in Band A for some people.
And a cut for some of the people in Band A in the least expensive houses.
How many people in Band B will get a cut?
Well, Band B is a different group of people from Band A. So
the answer to that is nobody will get a cut.
They're not part of the reform.
How many people in Band C will get a cut?
Well, they're not part of the reform either.
How many people in Band D?
The reform only affects Band H and Band A.
The reform is a fraud, isn't it?
No, not at all, because those people
under your plans, 1.75 million council taxpayers will be unaffected by this.
Not at all. There are 600,000 pensioner households in Scotland. All of them pay full water and sewerage charges under the current system without any council tax benefit contributing to those charges.
Let's get to
for the poorest pensioners, whether they live in Band A, Band B, Band C or Band D, Bernard, they pay that full water and sewerage charge.
Let's get to the nitty-gritty of this. How many council taxpayers in Band A will benefit from your reform and by how much?
Well, the reform we're proposing to council tax is a small reform. It's not a major tear-up.
Yeah, my question was how many council taxpayers in Band A will benefit from your reform and by how much?
We'll consult on the details of that with the valuation assessors and with local governments.
Do you know how many in Band A will benefit?
When we put together the budgets for the next 3 years. The number of people in Band A is significantly higher than the number of people in Band H.
There are 530,000 people in Band A. How many of them will benefit?
There will be more people who will benefit than the small number of people in the most expensive houses.
There are 530,000 people in Band A. How many will benefit and by how much?
We're proposing a very small change to the council tax. We're proposing a radical change to
water
and sewerage charges.
You don't know.
We're proposing a radical change to water and sewerage charges, which will directly benefit the poorest pensioners in Scotland.
First Minister, the answer to my question is you don't know.
Benefit.
The answer to my question is you don't know.
No, the pensioner households, whether they're in Band A, Band B, Band C or Band D, will all benefit from the cutting and the abolition of the water and sewerage charges.
Did you hear my question?
The pensioners, 600,000 pensioner households.
Yes, you've told me that.
Whether they're in Band A, Band B,
my question to you is how many of the people, the 530,000 people in Band A will benefit and by how much?
Well, I've already answered that question, which is that we will consult on the number of people
and
the changes that will be required in Band H and Band A.
So you can't answer that. Let's see if you can do better with this one. At what point in Band H do you start paying more?
Well, the same applies. I've just said we will consult on the exact detail of the changes at Band H and Band A.
So again, the answer is you don't know.
But a small number of people in Scotland will pay a little bit more. That is a fair change.
How many?
And a small number of people will benefit more. And that is a fair change.
Let me try and narrow this down for you. There's 11,042 people in Band H, okay? How many will pay more?
I've just said we will consult on the number of that 11,000 households in Scotland in the most expensive houses and the houses in the least, those living in the least expensive houses in Scotland.
At what level will they start to pay more?
Some of them will pay a little bit less. But 600,000 pensioner households in Scotland, Bernard, will first of all have their water and sewerage bills, which are a most significant part of their bill. The water and sewerage bills, first of all, reduced and then abolished.
This, with respect, isn't rocket science. There are 11,042 people in Band H. At which level will they pay more?
Well, it's also not a radical change. The radical change we're proposing...
It's not a radical change,
the radical change we're proposing...
Not a radical change to the council tax at all.
The radical change we're proposing in this election is the one that will actually have more impact on the poorest pensioner households.
When do you pay more?
Which is that change that will cut and then abolish.
When do you pay more in Band H?
I've just said to you.
You haven't given me a number. You haven't given me a number for Band A.
I'm not going to give you a number. For the 11,000,
because you don't know. The answer to that question is I don't know.
For the 11,000 households currently in Band H, the most expensive houses in Scotland, some of them will pay a little bit more. And for those who are living in Band A, the least expensive houses in Scotland, some of them will pay a little bit less. And it's a minor change to make the council tax a little bit fairer.
On the 10th of April, you said, in response to the very question that I've asked you, we could be looking at, for example, people who live in houses that are valued at over £1 million a year. So is the threshold at which you pay more when your property is over £1 million a year, is that Labour's position in this election?
No, that was an example, and I think it was a good example of the kind of people who I think should pay a little bit more.
So is £1 million the threshold?
Can pay. And I just said to you, it was an example that was given at the press conference. It's a very good example, though, that shows that people at that end of not just the house valuation scale, but income scale should pay.
You also said at that same press conference the SNP's lack of detail in finance was, and I quote, shameful. You haven't been able to answer any of these questions.
Well, we're not proposing to tear up the system. The SNP are proposing to tear up the system, replace it with one which will tax young people in Scotland higher than anywhere else in the UK, will tax every working family in Scotland more on their income tax, and will ensure, unlike even the Tories' poll tax, that the richest people in Scotland who earn their money through dividends and savings pay nothing at all. Even the Tories didn't propose that in their poll tax. Now, those who are going to tear up the system and introduce an unfair replacement called a local income tax, they're the people who have to justify their local taxation plans. We've got a concrete proposal to benefit pensioner households, and I believe it's increasingly popular in this campaign.
Okay, well